Okay, so we're live. Welcome back to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm at Burke. Second video intro. So it's myself, my co-host Dotty the dog, my Scaldy chair / table. Thanks for the feedback about the show last week, Dr. Susan Jemison, the Light Doctor. Yeah, I loved it. I know it's probably not everyone's cup of tea and it's a bit hairy-fairy and out there, but I absolutely love it. Absolutely loved it. You know, as I said before, and you'll hear me talk in other podcasts, you know, I was pretty black and white over the years, and to talk about something like light therapy and energy healing, and even through my degree, there was alternative medicine on it. And I was like, what the fuck is this doing on a science course, you know, Reiki healing and Tai Chi and all this bullshit. I thought it was all about, you know, scientific titrations and chemistry and biology, and, you know, I never gave the spiritual side of things a look in, and now I've come full circle, and I think anything is possible. You know, for anyone that knows me knows that I'm not like religious, or I'm not into, you know, organised religion. If that's your gig, I'm not knocking it. It's just not for me. But if you want to believe in the blue god or the blue monkey or whatever, I don't give a rat's. That's your own gig, and I respect that. I'm not casting any judgments. It's just not for me. But now, as I moved older, and I'm interested in all different sides of life, and whether it be spirituality, meditation, I just think there's just more to life than the physical matter. And I think there's more to medicine than mainstream medicine that's taught in Western world. I think there's so much more. There's so much we can learn from the likes of the Light Doctor. I just thought it was brilliant, and I got lots of feedback from it. Some people thought it was a bit out there. You know, you can't please everyone, but it was just something that I really wanted to talk about. But then I got lovely feedback from other people that really liked it. So, do you know what I mean? That's what the show was all about. It's like, it's stuff that I'm interested in, but also I'm bringing education to people. And probably, do you know what, in a couple of years, months, whatever, you could come back and go, jeez, I remember that fucking podcast your man was talking about that. And I might just click, and you might come back to it, or I might spark your interest and go explore more into it. I don't know. I just loved it. And it was brilliant, because the interview today was with a lad that I work with, Liam Doyle. I've worked with Liam a good few years. He's a martial arts expert, and I've always knew he'd done martial arts, but I didn't really understand. It's mad when you work with somebody and you know kind of what they do, but you don't. I knew he'd done martial arts, but I didn't know how much spiritual work he'd done. And when I say that, I mean, like, you know, the meditation side of stuff, the yoga, the philosophy of martial arts. There's so much more, and it was just through conversations I've had with him and other people about him, I realised, you know what, he'd be brilliant to get on the podcast, you know. And I loved it. It was our first video interview, and we done it up where he works up in the Carolyn Lodge in the National Rehabilitation Hospital. So we sat down with a brilliant conversation. I've had conversation with him over the last couple of weeks, and I've just been taken back by his thought process, the way he thinks, because I only know him from the job. And then when you start speaking to him in language that he uses outside the job, in his other practices and his other interests, it just kind of go, wow, I didn't know that's what you did. And it was lovely, and it was lovely to get to know what he done. So yeah, as I say, on the show we talk about the martial arts, the philosophy, the history of it, his background, his achievements, the success that he's had, some failures he's had. You know, it was a brilliant conversation. Again, we talk about meditation and positivity, and this, you know, everybody think positive, and we kind of cut through that a little bit. So it was a really interview. It was a really fucking great interview. I loved it, and hopefully you will enjoy it. Yeah, so that's this week's, and hopefully you're enjoying the video interviews. I'm really enjoying them. I was cringing about doing this kind of stuff, you know. I don't really like looking at myself on camera. They're my own insecurities, but like most things that I do when I get a bit nervous, I always say to myself, it'll be grand, it'll turn out great, like it always does. And it has, and this is actually getting easier. I'm sitting here now, I'm not cringing doing it. It's cool. I'm getting to used to it. So yeah, so it's deadly. So that's the crack. As always, I'll thank our sponsors, ISA Nutrition and Noel Riley from Rooney Graphics. Thanks a lot, you guys are rapping. Kev, the technical legend, and Aaron on social media. Without the lads, we'd be lost. So fair play to you lads. So look, enjoy the Liam Doyle interview. martial arts expert. And as always, and I'll always say it, and I know I'll probably drive you bonkers saying it, practice love and compassion. Mind your little selves. Be good to you, and you will be good to the rest of the world. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're live. Welcome back to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. On the show today, my special guest is Liam Doyle. Liam, what's the crack?
How are you doing? Good to be here, up here in the lodge.
Guys, I've asked Liam to come on the show today because Liam is a martial arts expert.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so I want experts on the show. So look, I've asked Liam to come along. Liam works with me. We're up here in the Carolyn Lodge in the National Rehabilitation Hospital. So look, how are you getting on?
I'm all right, taking over. It's lovely and peaceful up here, isn't it?
It is.
I love up here. That's why I love our guys when they come up here in the evenings, because it would be nice and quiet from the busy day. And I just, you notice every time you come in, the quietness is just brilliant, you know?
This is our first video interview.
Oh, first, is it?
Yeah, fucking Lord. Speciality.
Number one is my thing, man.
Give over. Come here, look, give us an insight to your background in martial arts.
Yeah.
Give us a little history on yourself.
In martial arts, as in where it came, well, I suppose you're talking from a young age, martial arts, you're going back to 15 years of age, and I won't say how long ago that is. But it's been part and parcel of my life from day one, really, since I became a youth. And all the bells and whistles I would have picked up along the way were martial related. Initially, I would have took martial arts up. I would have found a martial arts club in our local town, and that was a great thing. I would have moved on then. I would have studied various martial arts, but mostly I was into the Kung Fu and the Chinese martial arts more so than anything else, you know.
Cool. Give us an insight to some of the success that you've had over the years.
So many.
Yes. Modesty being one of them. I love that about you as experts, is I'm modest.
Well, the most recent ones would, and I know we were talking about this earlier, would have been the kickboxing titles, the world, but before that the Europeans. Because they are recent, and it's because I went back after such a long time away from the arena. It was 18 years kickboxing. I had went back to do Chinese full contact Lei Tai.
Wow.
Which would have been a bit after that, but kickboxing technically and actually it was 18 years since my last kickboxing fight, and to go back in and to win the Europeans and follow it back to back with the Worlds, I found that quite successful.
What was
5 nationals as well? Don't forget the 5 national titles.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So what was that like after 18 years gone back? How did your body respond to that? You know, you talk about muscle memory and all that kind of. How did your body react to that?
Well, that's something. I pick your brain about muscle memory down the road, because apparently there is no actual muscle memory, but there is a retention. There's an emotional memory, which allows you to get through and allows you to repeat those moves you've done before, particularly if you repeated them for such a long period of time. But the body was fine. It really was a journey of the ego, if you like, and getting what you wish for. Because I remember saying to Jacqueline was the first part to call my wife, and I said, Jacqueline, look, you know, I want to do this. And she goes, you're mad, you're off your head, why would you want to do this? My students, those who knew me, I had built up, I suppose, not planned, but from being in martial arts for such a long period of time, I had built up a reputation as a martial artist, a respected martial artist. And I'd be a member of the governing body for martial arts in Ireland, Doyle, which is the governing body at the moment, and it covers all the martial arts in Ireland. So to go back, and then when mentioned to my students and to those around me and good friends of mine who are in kickboxing, a lot of them would say, look, there's no need really to do this, are you mad? But reputation alone for not to do something that you really want to do wasn't really a reason to stop doing it.
Then what do you reckon? What was the intrinsic want? What can you put your finger on now? Why was it that you wanted to do it?
I know. Then I wanted to use the techniques that I had developed in terms of positivity, in terms of mindfulness, in terms of being there in the moment. I wanted to take all the technical stuff that I had learned and developed over the years in martial arts and over the years in sports fitness. I wanted to try them out myself. I am someone who leads from the front. If I'm going to show you something, I've done it. If I failed at it, you'll know and say, look, we'll work through this together, but I usually have done it. So I wanted to try out my techniques. They did work. There were a lot of failures, but they worked.
Yeah, brilliant. So come here, touching on failures, then what would you say were the greatest failures for you? You know, when you talk about failures, what was your greatest success from failures?
It's good the way you put that, because I'll tell you why. what was your greatest success and failures, or the two words together? Because the very word success, and this is something I was looking over some of my own notes.
Pull that mic a little closer to you. Just pull it close. The mic, if you can pull it, boom, arm. Yeah, lovely.
I was looking up some of my own notes there over the weekend. But the actual word success comes from succedere, it's a Latin word. And it actually means what comes after. The word means what comes after. And what comes after...
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So what comes after failure? Success. What comes after trying? Success. So in terms of what successes I would have had, I would see really the benefits of those successes, or realising that they were great successes, were based on how I felt while getting, like in the Europeans, I fought a great guy called Michael Bergstrom. Michael is a huge Viking, I mean a monster, and I got to know him very well afterwards, and he said to me in the Worlds after, he said, Liam, I came back over here just to beat you. He said, I cried, he said, and I understand this, what he meant, because it really gets that way. But when I fought Michael, that was my first fight, and you must remember, in Ireland, I belong to the Irish Martial Arts Commission, as I said, and I belong to the Wushu, the Kung Fu side, and I belong to the Kickboxing Ireland side, which is the biggest kickboxing organisation in Ireland. They are WACO, connected to WACO, which is the biggest kickboxing organisation in the world. So it's like the Olympics of kickboxing. You win a WACO medal, that's a medal, and it's not like you turn up and have one fight and you're a champion. It was a 9-day event.
Wow.
There were 9 people in my category. So I'm turning up after 18 years away, and you know that saying, got what you wish for?
Oh, yeah.
I fought Michael, and I mean, it was kickboxing in name. We had more points taken off us than awarded because the blows were not necessarily legal. It was it was a kitchen sink job, Matt.
Yeah.
It really was. And there's a video afterwards, you must get it. It's off Sports Not Irish. It's a small video.
Was it like something from Bloodsport or fucking like Claude Van Damme shit?
Bet each other around, honest to God. And I got it 2-1, which was, he could have went either way. And I had a cold. I went in with a cold, and this happens to fighters, and that's not an excuse. I did not fight the way I pictured myself fighting. I did not perform the way my ego had me thinking I would perform. I was not the Liam Dale I like to think I was. I was someone who was avoided barely by the skin of their teeth, and I felt crap.
Yeah.
And I knew I had 2 more at least fights if I wanted to get into the final coming up over 9 days. If there was a way out, I'd have took it.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm glad now. I for a split second, possibly, yeah. I didn't feel good. I felt crap. My colleagues, a lot of them had been there before, said, "Well done, Liam. Now on to the next one." I went on to the next one. I've done enough. I've justified my existence. I could get hurt here. I could get beaten up. The ego. I could get made a show of.
Yeah, the ego is the root of it all, isn't it?
It was starting to hit home. So here was a win that really felt to me like a failure, because I got what I wished for. I remember at my hotel room that night, going through the techniques that I taught to others, and couldn't make them work for a while because the mind was spinning and there was a negativity there. But I started putting them together. I started getting centred. There's a particular technique I use to get centred. Started doing this. Then I started doing my breathing. Then I started doing my meditation, which allows you to realise, take it easy. You're here now. This is the journey. This is what you've done, and it got me centred again. Enough to massage the ego, just enough to get back up 2 days later.
Pull that mic down so I can see it on the camera.
Yeah,
it's important that you
pull it down. It's very important. I'm seeing on the camera, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
Particularly this is the first one.
Deadly.
But no, it got me ready enough to go in. I think it was 2 days later I fought the Italian Bertolotti, and I beat him easily. I don't mean disrespect to him as a fighter. I was just on, and I was a bigger fighter. And I knew I was facing a Kasaba Powder, the Hungarian, a monster of a man, and I seen him kick a German up and down the mats as he walked his way to the final. And I didn't fancy him, but I was getting a sense of myself again. I knew I was there, and you're in this now.
Wow.
So at the end, and when my hand was being raised, I was still. Some of my colleagues say, "Why are you still hopping, Liam?" I was trying to send him a message. I'm fit as a fiddle, I was doing cock, I was putting the chest out.
Yeah.
And then it came to actually fighting Powder. That video's up there. I know Jody covered it, and there's 1 or 2 of them out there. Like you're looking at him like a 100-kilo guy. That's what I'm looking at across the mats from me.
Like the mountain from Game of Thrones.
I expect him to walk down with a big log on one shoulder and his wife on the other shoulder, you know.
Or someone's wife.
You're getting it now, just put herself down, put the log over here, and I'm going to give it to you. And I did again. You know, I felt, because, don't mind, but if you hear a fighter, anybody that has to face an event, no matter what it is, and they say that they're not nervous, there are a few, I'm quite sure. But you need to have nerves, they're natural. And to say you're not afraid, okay, I'm sure there are a few.
You need nerves. Nerves keeps you safe and it keeps you alive.
Yeah, you said it. And it keeps you real.
Yeah.
Unless you're on something, you're quite insane. Yeah. You need to have that. So I'm looking at Kasaba Powder, and there he is, ready to do his thing, and I'm ready to do my thing. And I felt myself sink slightly. And I have some good coaches, some friends of mine who were there were great coaches to me on the day, very experienced coaches. But it was me that was doing the fighting. And I remember taking a breath. And I just felt myself rise a little bit. And I took another breath, and the hands went up. And I took a third breath, and I was on the hop, as we do. That's getting ready to fight. And I was ready. And the rest is history, if you like. I won awards out of it. And he hurt me, and I hurt him.
Wow.
But that was it. Like, and you asked about failure and success. If I didn't manage how I felt really crap after my first fight off a great fighter, Michael Bergstrom. I managed that, got myself through. No disrespect, but nobody died. There are worse things that happen, and I was able to reflect upon that in an organic and a holistic fashion in my room. Go and do my meditation. Go and realise, look, you'll still be safe. I felt I could be safe. You'll still be fine. And the ego was all saying, you probably won't look too bad if you get beaten up. Wow. So yeah.
Savage. Yeah. I'm really interested in the philosophy and history of martial arts from your background. Could you like to share some of that with us?
I'd love to. You must remember now, I know we probably look very similar in age, but
I look like your dad.
I love the black and white here, the yin and yang going on.
Like fucking good and bad here.
But again, from 15, when you're talking the 80s, you couldn't get a Chinese takeaway in our town, let alone a Chinese martial art. This was Ireland in the 80s. This was a very secular country. Church and state were very closely knitted together. Sean O'Casey's books were banned. Some of them still. And that's like, it was a great time also. Yeah. More innocent time. But my interest stemmed originally from Bruce Lee, which everybody knows about. I remember in Grafton Street watching, I think it was in Golden Discs, or there was another one. There was Dolphin Discs, that was in Dolphin. No, it was Golden Discs. Yeah. And there, I think it was Fist of Fury. And he nunchucked his way, in the Japanese dojo scene. Yeah. He nunchucked his way through copious amounts of ankles. And it was the ferocious beauty of what he was doing was inspiring. But the philosophical side really hit me. There was 2 programs that we used to watch as kids. One was Monkey. I don't know if you've ever come across it.
Yeah, he used to take the thing out of his ear. The stick. Yeah, and he called the cloud and all.
Did you watch this?
Yeah.
Then you would have seen the philosophical vignettes that ran through that program.
I wouldn't remember it. It would have been just visual, but I wouldn't have had the intellect to get it.
Well, you were obviously you're younger than I was. They've remade the show, but I advise go look at the old one. For me, like basically Monkey, and there was another tale called Water Margin. So the Water Margin was about the weak overcoming the strong, about warriors that were outcasts, and they fought the evil emperor. So they were sages. They were doing the right thing. They were doing the moral, ethical thing, and they could fight. So this appeals to young people. And we all watched the Water Margin. And we go to disco later on and we do our Water Margin moves at 13, 14 years of age. Monkey, he was a belligerent little monkey. He was the monkey god, the Chinese monkey god. And he angered the gods. So they buried him for 500 years or 5,000. I can't really remember. I should. Well, maybe it was 500 BC. I don't know. And under the rock for being belligerent and being a devil. And they let him out. And in order to get out, he was to accompany the monk Tripitaka on a journey on the Silk Road from China to India to get the sacred scrolls. But really what was happening was, it was a monkey, a journey of growth for Monkey. He's becoming more passionate, more compassionate. He was learning higher ideals. And you see through the program, as he starts to change and become less of an imp and more of a caring individual.
Did you only find that out in retrospect? Did you get that? At the
I
time?
got that then.
Did you?
I got it, but not obviously
No,
the
but
depth.
I get it.
To
Now
me-
you can appreciate. It's like watching a film a couple of times and you pick up on things again. But initially, you got the bones of it.
Yeah, it's what made me even then stay in martial arts rather than just sport.
Okay.
And it's what made me follow the Chinese martial tradition then, the Asian martial tradition, because in the 80s there wasn't much to show young people, particularly young men, how to grow up, if you like. Apart from sport, we need a way of knowing how to go from A to B and what is right or what is wrong. So in terms of martial arts, you had this warrior code, which a lot of people would adhere to, which is bandied about now, left, right and centre. So I found a very, very good school, and a guy I must mention who's around to this day, Christy Dennison. He was a great teacher to all of us and a great guy. And he was my first Chinese martial arts coach, and he deserves mention. And I would have went on. My next teacher was a Malaysian teacher who would have taught me Shaolin Kung Fu and would have learned the Shaolin aspects of Shaolin Kung Fu. I got very close to some to the use of the Shaolin people as well. Myself and Ronan, who's the ex-coach there now, would be very close. And Bob Bannon, who's still there now, would be the main guy there now. I learned and migrated through a lot of the Chinese martial arts. I eventually went to China because my interests were going towards there are two types of martial arts traditionally. There's the external martial arts like karate, if you would see, you know, they toughen the joints, they toughen the muscles, which is inherent in all martial arts. But there was also what was known then, and would still be known now, as the internal martial arts, the softer martial arts. So you see someone doing Tai Chi as a health exercise. That actually, if there's a high enough person practicing this, it's a devastating form of martial arts if done right. Really? Absolutely.
When you say devastating, what do you mean by that?
Well, the internal arts, and there are three internal arts. There's the Tai Chi, Bagua, which goes along the fortune symbols of Tai Chi philosophy, and Xingyi, which means mind boxing. They would be at a high level, the Shaolin types.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah,
but
they would be very similar when they get to the top. They all reach the same place, but their approach can be different. One would be done to a degree externally, and one would be done internally, using the whole body force, the body mechanics. You as a sports science guy would get this: how to apply all of the body into a strike, as opposed to just to try and make it a very strong arm and punching with the fist. So I was interested in those aspects of the subtler aspects of martial arts, because fighting came fairly easy to me. I was a good athlete, so that wasn't really the requirement. But the philosophical background was even of more of an interest to me. Learning to fight so you don't have to. That blew me away. You know, you can choose not to fight, that your skills can get to such a degree, because only a fighter can choose not to fight. If you can't fight, you can't choose not to fight. Yeah. So that was getting me in, and when I looked into it more and more, and again, when I say I got to China, I really loved what I seen. The philosophical aspects to both, like you have two traditions. You have the Shaolin tradition, you see the monks. That would be a Buddhist tradition, and they would adhere to Bodhidharma, the Buddhist monk. And then you have the Taoist tradition, which is Taoist, which would be the Tai Chi. They more or less the universal principles, go with the flow. Tao means the way, the path. But they would have Lao Tzu as their founder, which would be also a Taoist sage. And apparently what they would say is that the Bodhidharma and Lao Tzu in the 5th century BC would, chat and get on with each other and everything else. But Bodhidharma, he was an Indian monk. He came from India, and he brought meditation with him. So you have Chan meditation in China, and moved over. It became Zen in Japan. So there's a massive connection to all this. And I know you asked me the question, and the question is, where the interest came from. But I used to be stunned that people didn't see that there was a philosophy, that to martial arts there was a philosophy. I couldn't understand if you got your black belt why you weren't studying the philosophy. And if I'm teaching anybody, particularly if it's an athlete, and if it's a martial sporting context, to get the mind work with it. What's the point? There's no if you're not reflecting and looking at the higher ideals.
I'm just getting an education here, because I thought martial arts was predominantly, it's just a blind spot to me. I just thought it was the physicality, it was performance. Yeah, I do think a lot of attitude, a lot of mind stuff involved, but not an actual philosophy and a learning to it.
Massive.
Massive.
There's a massive philosophy, a massive way of life behind it. And I've mentioned, and I know that I hope the purists will forgive me because this is off the cuff we're discussing here.
Yeah.
I've mentioned the internal arts and the external arts, and I've mentioned a general difference. You could talk all day between the similarities and the differences, and I've said that they all meet at the top. They do. The paths may be different. They all meet at the top, and the top is basically about reflection, about personal growth, about an holistic viewpoint. Because what use is anybody if they have a high level skill if it's only for their own self? It's really about, and that was what attracted me, was this warrior sage like thing. And the best of the fighters will always be, whether it's boxing, whether it's kickboxing, whether it's MMA or whatever, someone who has a complete background, as in a philosophy, as in is aware of the feminine principle as well as the yang, the male principle in combat. And that can only come from self-reflection and study through an art form.
Is that what led you down the path then to go to India? I know you studied yoga, and you've done a lot of meditation in India. Give us a little insight to that.
Well, I found that I've also a massive interest in the Celtic mystical tradition as well, which was something that just came along naturally. But I found that it was all pointing to India.
Right.
In terms of the genesis. Now, not like China would be the home of martial. I think there's something like 365 family martial arts traditions in China alone. That's not counting the Shaolin traditions. It's the home for sure, and they have a great martial culture there. Excuse me, but the genesis for the philosophical aspect, the meditative aspect, although the Taoists would have their own meditation aspects, and there would be local meditation approaches. Came from India, and it came from yogis, it came from not yogis, and that was my attraction. And like everything else, I go to the source. I wanted to go to the source. So next trip, India.
How long did you spend there? What was it like? Give us a little insight.
I've been to India a number of times. I've been to Mumbai. I've been to Delhi. I've been to the Himalayas. I've been in ashrams that could best be described as rustic. You're looking at your hands the next morning, they're bit to bits. But the food was amazing. The experiences were amazing. I got sick. The first time I got sick there, I think I lost 2.5 stone.
Jeez, I'm going to go there. Forget about your Weight Watchers and your Slimmer Worlds. You don't have to worry about your sins over there. Fuck that.
It'll all come out one way or the other.
Out of every orifice.
Honest to God. And I couldn't wait to get back. I went back. I went 3 years in succession. I went to London first to see this particular guru, and I went to Manchester.
Who was that?
It was a guy called Yogi Raj Gurunath. I found him a very wise individual. I found him a very knowledgeable individual, and he personified a particular type of yoga that I had an interest in, which was a yoga meditation, and Kriya yoga meditation. So the next journey was India.
Fantastic.
As I say, you're talking about the ego here again. I'm already an established martial artist, and I have my own belief systems in terms of how things should happen for you to grow as an individual. Now I just plunge myself in, which I always have done, into a new pool. Something I have been interested in since a boy, because I would have read some good yoga books about meditation and about the yogic lifestyle. So they always interested me. So I get there, and I found it very challenging, but I found it very eye-opening. And to see to see people meditating for long, like people think about yoga over here, and rightly so. It's a fantastic physical exercise, and there are many types. And that's called the asanas, the postures. And there are many, many types. But yoga, as in yoga, means to unite, union. And the large portion of people who practice yoga do so in order to meditate for long periods of time and to direct the breath in a certain manner for certain outcomes. So it's not, the postures will be like the gateway in. Like learning how to hold a stance in martial arts will be the gateway in to learning how to generate power. The postures will be the gateway in to getting the body healthy enough to meditate for long periods of time. And I mean, I've seen people over there that sit for hours, half a day, more probably. I don't know, I'd go back to bed.
And that's without Netflix.
That's without Netflix. There's no Netflix.
Fuck that.
It's not binge watching. Binge watching on meditation.
Yeah, savage. That's some experience, isn't it?
Oh, I love that. I feel. Like the world is getting smaller, but I think it's how you view your travels.
Yeah.
We can travel the world from pub to pub, or we can travel the world from ashram to ashram or dojo to dojo. It's really up to what we want out of this.
I love the fact of the journey that you were on, the martial arts,
Yeah.
the philosophy, the learning, the education, the road that you took. You know, you looked at everything from a helicopter view, and I love that. What do you think of people then, and fighters and people interested in martial arts these days? What do you think, thoughts on mind coaches? People going and getting mind coaches then, would you?
Mind coaches in general, I think it's popular.
Yeah,
it's
that's the
certainly
thing,
popular.
really popular. You know?
It's certainly very, very popular. But to give a couple of statements, I certainly wouldn't recommend deciding today, someone to decide, okay, that's popular, I think I'll go and get a qualification and teach mind coaching. It's something you become. You definitely should have some form of academic background.
Yeah. Or even fighters seeking it. They're seeking mind coaches.
They need to do the research, man.
Yeah.
They really need to do the research, because if it is a fighter that's looking for a mind coach, I think they should have been where they're going. Because, and I'll tell you why I say this.
Yeah.
What if they can get them to win? Maybe the win is worth more. Is probably worth taking too much toll on the individual. Maybe they need to have a look at what other benefits and aspects are there that you may not always need to go purely for the win at all costs. So the mind coach should have been where they're bringing somebody. They should have been where they're bringing somebody. That would be my view. Yes, you can get lucky. That's destiny. We can't do anything about this. Yeah. But if they haven't been there, they should at least acknowledge it themselves. Because once someone looks for a mind coach, that means they feel there's a gap there. Whether it's, we'll stick with fighting. They feel there's a gap there. It's a confidence gap. It's a lack of self-belief. It's a lack of direction. So there's a vulnerability there. You, as the coach, have an obligation to ensure that there's no advantage taken. Now, and I'd say to you, you're a sports science graduate, postgrad.
Yeah.
And you would know that there would be personal trainers in your world. So
allegedly,
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Now, you would be a personal trainer,
and they come with it. You know, they come with a great responsibility. You know, and in them there would be kind of some mind coaching in them. You know, but what I'm thinking with you doing all your journey, I would see that's the best way about it, rather than just going and getting a mind coach for a couple of weeks or a couple of days. And I think there's a whole fucking journey to it, you know.
I think it has to be. I think once you're in people work and it's in such a vulnerable area as the mind, that you have to become something, and rather than decide to be something. And unless, you know, you get a calling, you get divine inspiration, you told, listen, you know, a dream, you're going to be a mind coach, you're going to be the best mind coach ever. But and I mind coach, I've been asked to be mind coaches with people, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be for different reasons. I have always applied the mind in any work I would do, and it wouldn't just be with fighters. I've worked with people from all walks of life. But I think the mind coach must have a level of an ethical and moral approach to all their work. They shouldn't do what they can't do, and they should know their limits. I think the individual looking for a mind coach, do your research and make sure the outcome you want is connected to the outcome that the coach you're working with wants for you also. And then they can melt. Gotcha.
You know? Positivity, it's banded around all the place, everywhere. Positive thinking. I'm not so. I like to be real about things.
Yeah, you are. That's one thing about you.
What's your thoughts on that? People do say to me, "Oh, you're positive." I'm not. You know, I just look at things differently. But I wouldn't regard it as being positive. I just think it's just the way I view the world. What's your thoughts on people the way they ban around positivity?
Well,
positive thinking.
Two things. One, there's not enough of it in a practical context. Two, there's too much Ned Flanders positivity, isn't there?
There is.
There's too many quotes. There's too many Facebook statements. There's too many declarations to the world what I'm going to do. The first thing you do with positivity is you tell yourself. If you find you to tell others before you've really understood and felt it for yourself, well, then it's not positivity. It's looking outside of yourself for someone to tell you how positive you are, or that's the right thing to do.
Affirmations.
If we kept it in the fighter's context, and if there's any other particular discipline, I'd certainly discuss it with you. But in the fighter's context, because I know this is about martial arts, a fighter could decide he's going to be positive. let's say he says things like, or she says, there's a lot of females now, more females now never coming into the game. And he says, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to knock him out in the first round. I'm going to smash him up. You know, all these aggressive, affirmative statements. Mm-hmm. And he goes and does it. Fine. Okay. Cool. So now people are saying, oh, he really believes himself. He's really good at what he does and everything else. And then he goes and he has the next opponent. And he says the same things. And he loses. Now, the opponent might have just been better. The environment may have been wrong. There could have been so many factors. There are 7 billion of us floating around on this planet, banging off each other. It is not possible for you to be self-centered and all about meism, particularly when it comes to fighting and using positivity. And I'll tell you why. Although it may work for you now and again, you have to take into account. Do you ever see the Monty Python? Monty Python's on the Holy Grail. Yeah. There was 2 kings, right? This really gives it. And one king is going, please God, let me win this fight. I'm the righteous guy. I'm doing everything right. And then the other king, the exact same thing. Please God, let me win this fight. I'm the righteous guy. Yeah? And God is looking down, and he flips a coin. Faith. There's so many things that can happen. And I think if you were to go to say, you have to be careful how you are positive, because the journey towards positivity is just as beneficial as the outcome. So if you're saying, rather than saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, I have brought fighters to a fairly high level, and I've worked with individuals across the spectrum. Maybe say, I know I'm going to be the best I can be. I'm going to be maybe have a visualization that you see yourself with your hand being raised. But to predict the future, this allows for you to entertain the benefits of that journey if it doesn't go your way. Yeah. And the growth that will come, the failure that will come from failure.
That's an interesting fact.
Because there's always another day, there's always another fight. And at the end of the day, if it was in a fighting context, who really wants to kill somebody and break somebody up? So if you're saying such a thing, you're creating that energy. Rather have something more holistic. And I've brought fighters in that context that they come totally and holistically to the mats, totally and holistically to the venue. There's a far better chance, as I was explaining earlier, if you're fully there in a full, total, holistic context, physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual, you're all there. There's a much better chance you're going to win. And if it doesn't go your way because the environment or other factors play a role,
absolutely,
you live with it.
There's so many variables. Positive thinking is just one aspect of life. Again, what you just said, the spiritual, the physicality, the environment, it all plays a role in it. It's just a contributing part. What's then your thoughts about, manifestation? I'm a firm believer in manifestation. A realistic manifestation, not like I want to marry Jennifer Lopez, not leaving you flat.
Well, we're on video because we got to be careful what we say.
Whatever. Do you know what I mean? We pick another celebrity. She's not going to just call around to your gaff and marry you. Do you know what I mean? Like, for fuck's sake. But if you pick one that's realistic and you can change your behaviour, change your lifestyle, change your mindset, yada, 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 then the chance of manifestation,
of course,
will happen.
Realistic with your goals.
Because, you just neurologically keep saying it and you'll change your behaviours and it'll direct you.
You will rewire the brain.
Yeah.
You'll recognise. Now, if it's realistic, and again, if you say, I know I can fly, don't jump off the cliff.
And we're not talking about R. Kelly here.
You know what I mean? I certainly don't believe anyway. But don't jump off the cliff because it's not going to be a good outcome.
No.
But if it's a realistic outcome, of course, there's going to be some benefits. And with the manifestation, if it's the right form of manifestation, as you just mentioned, practical, of course it will. This is now being proven.
Oh, 100%.
It's no longer... When I was in the day when I was interested in this aspect of... Thankfully, I could fight with the fighting side of martial arts, because the other aspect that we've spoke about up to now, which is now popular, was seen as an alternative. Now we call it complementary. Right. We're seen as... It wasn't being entertained. But to be practical with it, like affirmations, to be said in the right manner, of course. Visualization, massively so. But again, what is the outcome you want? If you want, as you said, if you want to marry Jennifer Lopez and you're living in some flat, you need to be practical about this. She's probably already married, or she's probably not wanting to get married together. You know.
Yeah. She only got engaged.
You're not
recently.
her type.
No, she's not into baldy gingers that wear farmer caps. Come here. Do you think that the whole mind side of things really has got more power now, and it's got more autonomy, and it's bought into more? You know,
Yeah, I do. I think there are a number of factors, a number of reasons. Certainly, e-media has the world has become a smaller place, so people are able to communicate more. There's a new generation in the world of clinicians, if you like. The studies that are coming out now will just blow you away. It's no longer subjective. There's a recent study. I was doing a workshop recently, and I spoke about a study to a group of engineers, and I got great track out of it. It's from the Global Brain Institute here in TCD, and basically what happens is when they looked at meditation and mindfulness, and they spoke basically what happens in the brain when you take in oxygen. There's if you regulate the breathing right, you can affect the brain in certain manners. This is now proven for lots of different ailments. There's an area in the brain called the locus coeruleus, and that releases noradrenaline. Now, noradrenaline, if released in the right amounts, as they call the sweet spot, will allow you to focus more, to stay calm, to get the job done, to feel better about yourself. If there's an over-release, frustration and stress and everything else, an under-release, sluggishness and stress and everything else. If there's the right amount released, the brain muscles start to build. Savage. So there's now a neurophysiological connection between regulated breathing and the benefits to the brain. And these studies are now coming hard and fast, and they're coming from the top universities. Brilliant. So it can no longer be denied. And what's also being discovered is different types of regulated breathing can have different effects on the mindset, on the brain, on the neural pathways. Because this is where all the hormones are produced anyway. The brain is the orchestra, is the conductor of the orchestra, is the main guy, is the number one. So you look after him or her, and everything's fine.
But it's usually the blind spot with people, isn't it? Like, just people every day, people don't see how important the mind is. And we work in brain injury rehabilitation, and even the people that have had brain injuries don't give it the respect it needs. They talk about the physical stuff, you know, the aesthetics of it all, their speech, and it's the blind spot, I think, with humans.
It is the blind spot, and thankfully we do work with them. The miracle happens. We get them after the miracle of saving has occurred. Now, the next thing that has to happen is they have to integrate into in a social context, into society. The program that we've been working on, as you know, is really going to help there. And my skills in terms of the sleep program and the wellness program, I just find they're just slow. Now, it's pilot at the moment,
Deadly.
but they're just slowly falling into that area. But there's not enough cognizance given to it, but it's changing. Yeah, it definitely is changing.
When we talk about manifestation, I just want to jump back a bit. Me and you had a conversation today, and an analogy you used today was it the Tau one, THA?
Oh yeah.
Give us a little insight.
Now, once I put that out there, it's going to be stolen.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I don't own that anyway.
No plagiarism.
Like I invented the Tau, huh? It's ancient. No, if I'm doing a workshop, like that would be under the head of a practical approach to positive thinking. I would often use the Tau as an example, because the Tau are pronounced Tao. And Taoist thinking is TAO. And I would use the T as thoughts, and the A as action, and the O as outcomes. And if I was again to use my story, which would be beneficial, really highlighted here, I had a great thought that I was going to be a national champion. The worlds or Europeans didn't even come into it. I schemed like Machiavelli. And I was so far away. I think we discussed, when you're far away from the event, anything can happen. When you're at home, speaking morning on a Friday, of course you're going to join the gym on the Monday. It's only when Monday morning comes.
100%.
So I think the Nationals are 4 months away, and I'm having this scheme, this thought. It was a high thought. Because we only have these thoughts when we're nice and comfortable. We don't have these high thoughts about ourselves when we're under stress. We actually have the other thoughts. Getting out of here. Want to escape. But when you're relaxed and you're comfortable and you're having that glass of wine and everything else, and you can muse, you can reflect, you go, oh yeah, I think the ego gets going, gets really busy. So that's the thought. It's a high thought. I'm going to do this. So now I needed an action to do it. So my action was to go, say, to enroll for the Nationals, to talk to those people I knew, to talk to family, the practical actions that have to be done. But this has now gone from the world of theory and thought into the practical, murky world of action. And the world will crash, bash, smash and trash you down. It's not on purpose. It's not personal. Just the 7 billion souls, as we mentioned, 7 billion plus, are all trying to get their way there. So my thought, when I brought it into the Word of Action, was mashed and smashed. It was hardly recognisable to the thought that I had. I had to keep looking back, so is that the thought? But I stayed to it. I kept reflecting, making sure the actions reflected the thought. That thought turned into a vehicle of self-belief that got me to the outcome I wanted. When I got to the outcome I wanted, now I had self-belief, I had confidence in those set of actions. I was able to flip that forward into the worlds and repeat the process and add to it. So that's where the Dow comes from. But that's it in a nutshell. I was going to carry on there.
You know, any more to go on? That was savage.
Well, I suppose from a positive sense, in terms of positive thinking, we have to look at the whole picture, where it comes from, where the negative thinking comes from, if you like. The Celts said it great. The Celts said it very well. They said we come into this world with 5 senses. Not the sight, smell, sound, taste and touch, but a sense of place, a sense of time, a sense of journey, a sense of belonging, a sense of tribe, a sense of family. Your family gets you first, which is neither a good or a bad thing. Yeah. They give you your dogma, your belief systems, your everything else. You start to grow. You get your friends, your cousins, people around you, your tribe, the times you lived in. They all form positive experiences. They propel you. Negative ones, they can hold you back. And we should never underestimate the power of negative experiences, particularly the traumatic ones. We shouldn't dwell on our negativity. We need to be aware of the power that they can have. They've done I think you'll find this interesting. They've done a study on barracuda off the Great Barrier Reef. And the barracuda is the pirate of the seas. You know, they've teeth. You don't want to mess with these dudes. Metre and a half long. And they put the barracuda into a 9 metre glass tank. And they put its dinner, its prey, in with it. Yeah. The barracuda did what barracuda do. Bam! Nail it. That's what they do. That's its nature. They done it again. Bam! Nails its dinner. Then he put a glass panel, see-through glass panel, in between the barracuda and its prey. Barracuda seen its prey. Barracuda did what barracuda do. Bam! Hits the glass panel. Happened a number of times. The barracuda stopped and went back to the end of the tank. Never went anywhere near where its prey would be. They took the glass panel out. Barracuda never left. Some barracuda stayed to almost near starvation before they were able to get over the trauma. It had learned, it had recognised, this behaviour will cause me pain, I'm not going to do it. And had formed neural pathways to not do it. So negative experiences can be, you know, they can hold us back a little bit, for sure.
100%.
Keep our eyes on these. But as you said, affirmations, mindful approach, mind coaching.
We can re-script all that. We can rechange it.
You can rewire the brain. It's an amazing, malleable piece of plastic.
I'm a living proof of that, because I used to be very negative. Well, I wouldn't say it was very negative, but I was very black and white. I used to think it's either this way or that way, and if you'd done something on me, that's it. I'd never forgive you. It'd be over. We'd never have a relationship.
Typical Irish male, then.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I've been there. No, fuck you. Don't ever trust him again. Fuck that. Fuck this. You know. And over years now, slowly, I've changed that. Everything there's a grey area and all sorts of things, and you know, if people do something, you know, it's only a small, tiny percentage of the relationship you have with them. There's 99% of other stuff you could be thinking about, you know. But it took me a long time to get over that, you know.
If you don't want me saying, this particular work that you've been doing for some time is a very positive thing, even the title.
This has been a huge growth piece for me, as in, and all the people I've talked to, like sitting here with you, my eyes are like fucking sauce or something. I can't believe that, you know, can't believe that fighting, you know, has all this philosophy behind it. Why? Because I never looked. But for anyone to think that martial arts, just martial arts, turning up in a club and doing a bit, there's more to it, and there's a lot of martial arts do think that, though. You're not alone. Like, it can happen in martial arts. It can happen too, particularly if it's just focused on fighting. But what you said there, which I think is very interesting, and again, it's brain work, and it's how we store information, and particularly if the emotions are involved. I think a psychologist would call it the FAE, the fundamental attribution error, that we take in so much information that we need to sieve it out on what's important to us. So, to be crude about this, if I came along to you and I said to you, such and such, all he ever does is pick his nose. You haven't met such and such. But the next day you meet him and he's
picking his nose. And what you said was there's so much more to people. You will go, he told me that, put it in my head, I've after seen that, and you may make that attribution. It can happen, because that's how we store information. There's another 23.9 hours in the day where he's doing other things, but you've seen it, you've heard it, and it may possibly be that you'll start to entertain it's something that person does. That's our fundamental attribution there. Now, if our emotional aspect is also that we it's black and white, then you may decide that's him and that's it.
Yeah.
But as you said, if there's a grey area, you're going to go, hang on, there's another 23 point something hours in the day. Yeah. You know, if he is picking his nose, there really is something wrong. He needs help. You know what I mean? But that's our schema. That's how we get by. We have to. We're bombarded with information, and the information is coming in this way. Particularly if we're young and we're growing, the brain hasn't been fully formed. Not with us though. We're all
old cogs.
But as we're learning, we have to find ways of storing it. So we apportion importance to what we apportion what we feel is necessary to get by.
Savage. What's your thoughts on I'm moving into the whole area of spirituality? What's your thoughts around that?
Black and white. If you believe, you believe. If you don't, you don't. It's not for argument.
I really believe it. I love it. I just think there's more to us than the physical matter, you know. I just think there's so many different dimensions. We're not just carbon, atom, nitrogen.
Do you know, man? I find it so hard. If you believe, you believe. If you don't, you don't. If you're in the middle and you're not sure and you're learning, that's also fine. But like, everything around us is an absolute miracle. Like, we're talking about mindfulness and we're talking about meditation and positivity and everything else. If you even think of the breathing process before the brain gets fed, okay? And I hope I don't go off point here, but the brain needs most of the oxygen. It is the conductor of the oxygen. If I don't get it, no one else is getting it. 100%. So it comes in here through the nose, and I was going through this there a while ago at another workshop. And it comes in the nose and it goes down into the lung, through the respiratory system, okay? Down the diaphragm, does its job and pumps it up. When it gets into the lungs, right, this is fascinating. There's, you know, the alveoli in the lungs, you would know the respiratory system. These little tin-like sacs. It means alveoli means pit sacs. There's 6 billion of these guys exchanging oxygen, unclean air, carbon air for
gas
oxygen.
Gas exchange, yeah.
Consistently on our behalf. Now, you take those 6 billion and lay them flat on the ground, on one dimension, enough to fill a medium-sized tennis court. That's one lung. Like, how can there not be miracles? How we're walking miracles. How can you not believe that there's some divine intelligence behind this? But I'm not trying to say that we should. I'm saying, for me, it's just not up for question. It's just not up for question. But in terms of trying to look outside yourself for something like that, if you spend time focusing on this, what I've just said, or how we are formed together, or the miracles that happen every day in our hospital, and that sounds a bit crass, there's definitely something more than a physical, logical, methodical approach. You know?
I definitely believe that, you know.
100%. And if you go to any of the Hindu tradition, they just take more gods than there's dinners over there.
Yeah.
The Buddhist tradition, they all have this.
Outside your role, outside your Dolly Parton 9 to 5 here. Not that you do 9 to 5.
Oh no.
Oh no, you don't.
Don't tell Maureen this. 9 to 5.
Yeah. Come here. What other stuff are you involved in? I know you run workshops and what other stuff do you do?
They've become a natural involvement now, and they're starting to come on really well. I'm starting to work with companies now. I'm currently working with a big engineering company looking at bringing my work into their day course, for their staff. They ran 2 courses for all of the companies that are within their organisation, and it's becoming CPD now. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
That's happening across the board where I go, and it's good. It really is good, because look, if you want to function to the best of your ability in an agency or in a business, okay, as a member of a team, you have to individually function, and then when you individually function, you get inspired, and you still have to stay within that team and the paradigms of your role. So what better than mindfulness? Because it's a great leveler. Keeps the ego in check while allowing you to create. So I'm finding that starting to get a foothold. I also, I'm a parent, and I'm also a granddad, as you know.
Not that you could tell.
No, but
it's all that fucking exfoliating gel.
It's all that exfoliating.
It's all that David Beckham brand stuff you buy. Yeah, go on.
So to Gracie and Ryan, they're brilliant, and I run a martial arts school in Fairhouse Halla, and Kickboxing would be the sport, but it's a martial arts skill I teach, which is something that evolved my own martial art, which is just an involvement. It wasn't something that I planned to do, called Srína Gasceach Oscaige Warrior Path. And there are a lot of people practicing that now just as a recreation, just as I find people looking for a bit more than just exercise or just punching and kicking. They're looking for more of a way of life, particularly in these stressful times.
And I think that's less intimidating. When you talk about the philosophy of martial arts, the way of martial arts, it's not all brutality and ego. And a lot of the conversation that we talked about tonight or this evening is ego driven, and it's in there, and it's something I now am very mindful of. If I'm going to do something, I ask myself, what's this appeasing? Is this appeasing my ego?
You must.
And you really have to get in touch with that, don't you?
Not only in touch with, sometimes I go, yeah. Like my nature is a fighter. I'm a retired fighter, but that was my nature. And my ego enjoyed it, and it was a habit. So if you don't have the ego when you step into the arena, you shouldn't be there. You need the ego to buy bread. You need the ego to cross the road. It's only when the ego starts telling you that you're some kind of individual that you aren't. It's only when the ego starts allowing you to blame outside influences on your own
actions,
or your own responsibilities. And these are things that are, like we're talking about, like they're separate. They're all part of the one thing. Once you can reflect, give yourself time to reflect through a mindful approach, through a meditation approach,
and being the observer of your
observing yourself. That's meditation. That's mindfulness, and this is all inherent in us. And you'll manage the ego, and you'll always be there. Look, it's my Jacqueline will tell you, I talk for Ireland, and I love being the centre of things.
Yes,
but you know what? I would happily spend time
with that white shirt. You're stealing the show.
Yeah, well, I like
you're like Ricky. You're like Ricky Martin. I fucking love it. Every guest that comes on now has to fucking wear a white shirt. Yeah, with the collars open. And you must be more handsome than Liam.
Well, then you're not going to get anybody. That's three. You might got first two. You wouldn't got the third one.
I shot everyone down after that, didn't I? Come here. What's the one thing you'd like people to take away from this interview after listening to you?
It's not about what others think. Now I know that sounds cliche-ish. It really isn't. Mindfulness is not about what others think. Positivity is not about what others think. Positivity is not about what you think others want to see you have. It's not about trappings. It's not about wealth. It's not about obviously we need to live. Obviously we need to earn, and we should earn based on our genuine abilities. It's not about what the next person has or hasn't when you want to be positive. It's about you, and it's about being comfortable in your own skin. And that's the first place that positivity should get you. And to realise that we all have this ability, that we have to allow ourselves, we spoke about it, and I'll bring it in again, it's the contrast to the opposites, failure and success. Positiveness, if we're drawing from an area where we weren't always positive, call it negative if you like. As we are drawing and trying to make ourselves more positive, allow ourselves the time to fail. And embrace it. Fall off the horse and get back on. Now look, if you've decided that by being positive, you can fly and jump off the cliff, that's not a good thing. Okay. I'm talking about the reachable, manageable, everyday things. Really, they're the areas that really have us all bothered, that we think we can't manage. I'm a bit stressed. My mood is a bit down. My mood is a bit dark. I don't feel that I'm getting my worth and all this. These really can be dealt with and answered within. They really, really can. If you allow yourself to experience yourself as you grow through it. Do you know Michelangelo's David?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, it's a beautiful piece of work. I would love, if I was back in the Renaissance period, I'd go straight up to his house. I'd knock on the door. How are you, Mick? How's it going? If he's not like us, he'd give us a cup of tea. And he'd probably say, you're here to see David. Everyone's here to see David. And I'd say, no, I'm here to see your workshop. I want to see your workshop. I want to see you recreate it, David. I would bet there were many, many broken, half-finished Davids there. Because that's how it works. How are you going to create something that reaches perfection if you don't work towards it?
Oh, fucking brilliant.
But it is, it always will be that way. And if I could finish on anything, is this, we're finishing off?
We are, we're on the home straight.
A wise guru, I brought a guru over to Ireland, and we must talk about that.
Who's that?
I brought this Kriya Yoga guru over with me, and this guy goes around the world teaching.
And was he up in Tala?
In my house!
What
He stayed with us for the weekend.
Down the square.
It's
This is
history.
down to
It's
Nando's.
yogic history, right? Honest to God. And I couldn't believe he came. And he goes, Liam, I will go. I said, right, Jacqueline, listen, we're going to have to start cleaning the doors and the windows and all. He's coming for the weekend. And we ran a workshop for him. And it went really well. And he stayed with me and we had so much crack. And I mean, people are coming from all over the world. This is a very wise man and a very experienced yoga practitioner and teaches across the world. He's mostly in the States. And he's staying in my house, which is brilliant. And we're having to crack. We really are having to crack. And he brought his entourage room and they were also very welcoming. His wife with him and she'd done some lovely cooking. Amazing cooking for us.
All staying in your gaff?
My house, yeah. Over here in Tallinn, Oban, right? So,
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, and people were coming in to see him and the reverence for him was fantastic. Me and him sat up all night watching YouTube videos. Michael Phelps, Michael Phelps barely wins. And watching kickboxing and martial arts and soccer videos. And the crack I had out of him. But he made a great statement. And he was talking about material trappings is where it started, where the think about. He actually said it in India. But he said, you could have all the wealth you want. And he says there's a place for such a thing. You can have all the material possessions you want. You can wind down 7 nights a week. He said, and you can appear like you're in heaven. But if your mind is in hell, you're in hell. Period. And he said, if your mind is in heaven, it doesn't matter your environment. And that's where you start. With the mind.
Fuck. Deadly, isn't it?
Yeah.
People can be trapped.
I wish I said that, Yeah.
Well, you have the towel. You have that. You can't have
but that's mine.
Yeah, fuck
That's
that.
the first on the record.
That's like TRX. You have the towel. He has his thing, the mine. And
I just stole the ancient towel and put an anagram.
You just fucking painted the
thoughts, actions, and outcomes.
The Liam Doyle. Look, Liam, I'm absolutely delighted to be on the podcast. As I say, I worked with you. I didn't know the depth of your knowledge. I had a fair bit. I looked at some of the videos on Joe.ie, but I didn't know how much of the experience. But then over the last couple of years, I've had snippets of conversations with you, and I said, there's something there.
Yeah.
And the podcast has brought me to you. I'm delighted to get you on the show.
Thanks very much.
Valuable. The stuff we talked about is fucking so relevant, so today. And poignant. I'm delighted, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Well, can I just say it's a pleasure being. I'm delighted to be on. I think you're doing a great thing, man. I think that the title is apt and well done.
Deadly. Thanks a lot, my man.
Cheers. Me stuff.
Legend. Fucking legend. Okay, so there wraps up another tremendous interview. As always, I'd like to thank my supports, Niall Riley from Rooney Media. Niall has been in the graphic design business the last 20 years and producing quality work. For the last couple of years, they've been the chief graphic design for the college prospectus at UCD. I've been using his services the last, 10, 15 years, producing posters for health and fitness stuff, and always produces quality work. So check those guys out. Also, my old pal Carolyn Harvey from ISA Nutrition, for anybody interested in dropping body fat, gaining muscle, maintaining a healthy body weight, getting rid of some nutritional ailments. She's your woman. If you're also interested in competing bodybuilding competition, male or female, I would recommend her. I am currently working with Carolyn Harvey and the success has been phenomenal. I have done a review already and I plan to do more. But if nutrition and strength conditioning, that area is something that you'd like to get coaching or advice on, I would check it out. And the prices are really, really good, better than a lot that's out there. So I recommend you check her out. Also, my old crew, Kevin Doyle, sound editing and just producing and just support. Absolutely legend, Kevin. And my old mate, Aaron Kyo, social media. Lads, you are brilliant. The team would be lost without you. Okay, so that just leaves me to thank my listeners. Thanks a lot for listening. I will urge you, please share this with family and friends. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, all the kind of podcasts mediums that are out there. We're on them right the way across. We also have a YouTube channel, so check us out on that. Please go on to iTunes, please subscribe, please leave a delicious review. We love it, absolutely love it. So that's all the plugging I'm going to do for this podcast. As always, I will say to you, please show yourself compassion. Please spend some time with love and kindness in your life. Because if you are kind and loving to yourself, you will project that to the rest of the world. And if we all could do that a small percentage of our day, the place would be a nice place to live. Right, wherever you are in the world, mind yourself. Have a great day. Bye-bye.